Hi boys and girls, my name is Mrs. Wade and today we are going to learn a new subtraction strategy. It's called trade first subtraction. So here we go. You can follow along with me in your math journal, your everyday math journal on page 189. See down here we're on page 189, so if you need to go get that and pause the video, that's fine, you can do that. We're going to start at the top with number 1. Now, before we get started, we need to make sure we fill out our unit box. And remember, a unit box is just what would our label be if we were counting these things. Now, personally, I love cookies, so we're going to have our unit today be cookies. Next, we need to make sure that we estimate so that we know what our answer should be near. So our estimate, I'm going to round. I see that we have numbers in the hundreds. So I'm going to round each number to the nearest hundred and subtract. So 231 to the nearest hundred would be 200. Then we're still subtracting. And now we need to round 174 to the nearest hundred. 174 to the nearest hundred would be also 200. So we have 200 minus 200, and what's that equal? Very good, 0. So that means our answer should be kind of close to 0. It probably won't be 0 because I can tell that these numbers are different, but it will be near. Now, trade first subtraction just means you do all your trading before you subtract anything. So I want to show you kind of what that looks like. We have the number 231 minus 174. Now if I look, I have 1 minus 4. Well, I know from my experience, if I have one pin, I can't, or if I have one counter, I cannot subtract 4. Can anyone take 4 away from this 1? I don't think so. So we need to borrow first. So if the bigger number's on the bottom, you better borrow. I have 200 here, and there's my 30, and there's my 1. Now I just said I can't do 1 minus 4. I can't take away 4 because we don't have enough here. So I am going to trade or borrow from my 10s, my 3 here. So if I take one of these 10 sticks, how many singles will I get? That's right, I'll get 10 of them. So let me take this one away and let me get 10 singles. Now I have my 10 singles plus my 1 extra here. So I borrowed from my neighbor the 3, and now how many 10s are we left with? Can you see? We only have 2 left. So that's going to be a 2. Then how many 1s did we end up with? We took one of these 10 sticks and got 10 1s. Plus we already had 1 1, so 10 plus 1 equals 11. So I'm just going to make this guy right here an 11. Now I know I'll be able to do 11 minus 4. But when we do trade first subtraction, we need to make sure we get done trading before we subtract anything. So I'm going to look at my 10s to make sure we don't need to trade before I start subtracting. So if I look at my 10s, I see we have 2 left, and we're subtracting 7 of them. If I have 2 10 sticks, can I take away 7 10 sticks? I don't think so. So I'm going to have to trade. Okay, I'm going to have to borrow from my neighbor. My bigger number is on the bottom in my 10s. So I'm going to have to borrow from my neighbor. Now if I look at my neighbor, we've got 2 hundreds up here. If I take one of my hundreds, how many 10 sticks will I get to trade for it? If you said 10, you would be correct. So here are my 10 more 10 sticks. Now, remember, I borrowed from my hundreds, and I took one of my 100 blocks. So now I only have 1 left, and I got 10 10 sticks plus the 2 that we already had. So we had 10, we had 2, and we got 10 more. That equals what? Very good, it should be 12. So now we have 12 10 sticks. Now, I I know that we are ready to subtract because we have made it to our hundreds place. So let's go back to our ones. Let's see, we have 11 minus 4. Well, if I have my ones right here, I can just take away 4 and see how many's left. Looks like I have 7 left. So 11 minus 4 equals 7. Now I can move on to my tens. I have 12 10 sticks, as we already established by counting those earlier. I have 12 of them, and we want to take away 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going to take away these 7. And how many is left? Well, 12 minus 7 equals 5. So we have 5 tens left. Now, I get to look at how many hundreds I have left. We started out with 2, but we had to borrow 1. So now we're just left with our 100 here. So 100 minus 100 equals, if we take one of these away, we are left with no hundreds. So there's nothing here. So our answer would be 57. As you can see, we have 50 or 5 10 sticks and 7 ones. 57. And that is trade first subtraction. It's just like normal subtraction, but we do all of our trading first and get it out of the way. We're going to do one more problem together, and then, and I know our answer is reasonable because guess what? We are close to our estimate. Our estimate was 0, and I'd say 57 is fairly close to 0. So we know our answer is reasonable, yes, because our answer is close to our estimate. Now, on problem number 2, I'm not going to show you with the base 10 blocks, but we're still going to do our trade first subtraction. But before we subtract, we need to make sure we estimate to see what number we should be near. So 406 minus 389. We are going to first round to the nearest hundreds. 406 rounded to the nearest hundred would be 400. We are subtracting. So 389 rounded to the nearest hundred would be 400. And that's going to equal 0. So that means our answer should be close to 0. Okay, let's start with our ones. 6 minus 9 equals, well, I can see my bigger number is on the bottom. That tells me I'm going to have to borrow. So I'm going to go over to my tens. My tens doesn't have anything. So what are we going to do? Well, we're not going to panic, I'll tell you that much. We're going to go see if our hundreds neighbor has any hundreds for us to borrow. So we're going to say, hey 4, can you let us borrow 100 there? So we take 1 from the 4, which is going to leave us with 3, and we have to give it to our tens because our ones and our hundreds don't like to talk, but our hundreds like to talk to our tens. So we give our hundreds to our tens and make him 10. Now, we still need to move some over to our ones because we still have a bigger number on bottom over here. So now we go to our tens, and we have 10 of them now, so we can borrow 1 from them and make him a 9. And now we would have 10 more ones, which would be 16. So we will have 16 minus 9. And if you were paying attention, we have already traded all we needed to because we made it all the way to the hundreds. So we're done trading first. Now we get to do the fun part and subtract. So 16 minus 9 equals 7. 9 minus 8 equals 1. And 3 minus 3 equals 0. So our answer would be 17. How do we know our answer makes sense? Or does our answer make sense? Well, let's look at our estimate. Our estimate was 0, and our answer was 17. I would say 0 and 17 are pretty close. So does our answer make sense? Yes. How do you know? Because our answer is close to our estimate. And that, boys and girls, is trade first subtraction. It's just normal subtraction. You just trade first. All right, good luck on your assignment today. Thank you for watching.